Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live session. This is a bit delayed. Unfortunately, we had some technical things getting things set up and things like that, but we are here and we are live. Hello everyone in chat and welcome. Today is Saturday. It is just come up to 10 past 11 at night here in the UK, but here we are going to do a session about the animation blueprint. Now, I wanted to do this a while back, but things got in the way and stopped me from doing it, but we are here tonight and we're going to go through how to set up the animation blueprint, what kind of things you can do on it, how to use it, basically go through the basics of the animation blueprint, as well as answer any questions that you may have about animations and animation blueprint specifically itself. Before we do get started, just want to point out that private sessions are available for August. If you want to find out what sessions are actually available, if you head over to my website ryanad.com, go to /sessions or click on the link at the top, you can see my availability via my calendar, and if you want a session you can go through the options there and book that session in with me via email. So if you want a 90-minute session where I'll go through helping you with any of your projects or making something for you or consulting anything you're doing, give you some feedback, hook me up there, and you can find some slots available for August. There are no more slots available for July. But anyway, we're going to jump right in. I will let me restart that. So I will be going through the animation blueprint. This session is recorded and will be archived, and the archive will be available for everyone in 2 weeks time, but it will be available to Patreons straight after the session as well as patrons will also get access. Gold patrons will get access to the project files as well, so all the animation retargeting and things like that I've done, you'll have access to that as well. So hello everyone in chat. I can see we've got Asmon Games, Demon, Muth, Mouth, sorry, Angus, Armet, not Fabian, yeah, Tommy Legend. Hello everyone. Hi. How are we all? Hopefully we're all looking after ourselves and keeping safe. So, to get started with today, I've done a little bit of prep work and get stuff looking a bit better. Things we can use. So I brought in here a load of free stuff basically. So I've got this stylized character model that is part of the Unreal Marketplace, as well as I brought in the animation starter pack, and I've brought in some prototype weapons as well, sci-fi weapons, and that's it. And all I've done prior to today is just retargeted all of these meshes to use the same mesh, same skeleton, sorry. So this model will use all the animations that I have available to me in this. If you want to know how to retarget, go check out my retargeting animation video on my channel. It's pretty simple with these ones because they all use the same skeleton, so it's really simple. So check that out if you want to know how to do retargeting. But nonetheless, we are here. It's just here to make us look a little bit better. So I've got this character set up, and it's just using by the default third-person character animation blueprint. We're going to go through the motions of creating a brand new one from scratch, so you can see that all working with the new animations as well. So here he is holding a gun, ready to kick ass. So as I said, this is using the default mannequin third-person animations that you've seen time and time again in Unreal. Okay, so nothing new. Okay. Let me know, by the way, if you need things turned up, turned down, or anything like that in the chat. That'd be great. But nonetheless, so this is using this and the mannequins settings here. We've got the animation blueprint for the mannequin that comes with a third-person template. As I said, we'll make our own one from scratch. So we're going to create a new one, and you do that by going to animation, animation blueprint, and you want to choose the skeleton that you're using. Now, if you've got loads of skeletons like I've got here, because I've got a lot of weapons that use skeletal meshes as well, be careful you choose the right one. So make sure you look at the right path to help this, and this is the right one for me. Click that, and this would be I'll call it my anim BP. It's important it will only work with one skeleton, so if you're going to do it, make sure you choose the right skeleton. So what is an animation blueprint? It's a very basic question. So an animation blueprint is a way for you to have animations be dynamic and changing based on other conditions set by yourself and the game. So looking at the character speed, how can you use that to affect the animation, the character's status and what they're at, what they're holding, things like that. That can all be controlled within the animation blueprint. So it's a really, really good tool to learn as you'll be using it a lot. So the animation blueprint is assigned to a character by going to the character class, or any actor class really. It doesn't have to be a character. And you go to the mesh option, and on the meshes for skeletal mesh, you'll find the option for an anim class. And you only find this is if you're using the animation blueprint setting here. You can set it to a direct animation asset if you wish, if you're doing just one animation. But if you're doing a complex character, you're more than likely to be using more than one animation. So you use animation blueprint, and then you choose your anim class, which is your animation blueprint, from the drop down. Now what this does mean is that you can actually change the anim blueprint in the game. So for example, if you want it to completely change the animations that the character has at some point, you can easily do that by just changing it. Just do set anim instance and it'll do it for you. But here we are, our character in T pose, or A pose more specifically, because they've got no animations on them at the moment on their animation blueprint. So we can hit compile there and go back to our animation blueprint. And in here, I'm just going to change my preview mesh to match my one for this, so you can see it all looking quite good. Hello, Veddes, okay, VEDS6, Veddes6. Hello, gaming slow motion. Hello, bot. How are we all? Hope you're all looking after yourselves. Okay, so animation blueprint, quick tour. On the middle, you've got your anim graph and your event graph. These are two graphs that use and work simultaneously. The anim graph's output is the animation. So whatever you got plugging into it is what's going to be plugging out into the actual animation of the skeleton. The event graph is where you can do all your calculations, all your fetches, all your functions, events, all sorts of things like that can be handled on the event graph. On the left hand side, you've got preview window, and you've also got the my blueprint detail section where you can find your functions, variables, the usual stuff you find in your blueprint classes. And on the right hand side, you've got details panel, and you've got the asset browsers. Here you've got all the animations that have been associated to the skeleton that matches your animation blueprint. If you make your animation blueprint and you don't find the asset browser here filled with anything, it's empty, chances are you've chosen the wrong skeleton. So make sure you go choose the right skeleton. If you are sure you've chosen the right skeleton, make sure your animations are set to the correct skeleton. Overall, they have to match in order for this to work. So here I've got loads of animations that come with the animation starter kit, which is free on the marketplace. So help yourself to it. It's all there. Okay. So we're going to go to an animation graph, and to show you how this works, you just plug in something. So let's go try plug in an idle here. So on idle rifle iron sights. You'll plug that in and hit compile, and you'll see the animation window update the preview here to our animation. Now this is just static at the moment, it's not doing anything, it's just plugging in. You can see it flowing into the output here. So how does animation go further into this? So animations work by it's a description of what the bones are doing. So the bones have their own transformations, like what changing they have in their location and rotations. That information that over time is set to its animation. So as an animated like this, what you're actually doing is you're animating the bones and changing their values and so forth. When what you're doing in animation graph is you're combining those different numbers together to get a final output. So blending is where you're blending two values to get something in between, for example. So we'll go over blending in a moment and make sure this do various things. Answer a quick question from Ved. Yep, we're not doing IK. We may do a bit of IK if we have time, but no, not doing control rig today. That's something completely different. We'll do that another time. Okay, so we got the idle iron sights going into here. We're now going to make a different setup here. We're going to make a state machine. And a state machine is a way to control what animation should be playing at what point based on conditions. And what's really good about a state machine is that you can lock off some paths to some animations based on some conditions. So we can make a new state machine by going add new state machine, name it. The first one I always name is a locomotion. By the way, that one thing to note, as with all programming in Unreal, there is more than one way to do loads of things. So although you'll see me do one thing here, it doesn't mean that this is the only way of doing it. There are loads of ways of doing this. So feel free to experiment, see what you can do with it, and have a bit of fun and see how things work. So on the locomotion blueprint here, we can set up and add states and hook these states up together. So what I'm going to do is add a state here for idle. And in the idle state, you can double click and you can set whatever animation you want. So I can just drag in my idle rifle hip and plug that in. I go back now up here on this breadcrumb trail thing and then plug that into the output. Hit compile and you'll see it now. It's got the idle rifle hip setting. So with the state machine, we got into idle. One thing that people don't realize that you can do is, or don't utilize fully, is that inside a state you can put in other state machines. You can put in other blends. You can put in all sorts. You can put loads of stuff inside. It's just, it can keep on going. So you can make this bit as complex as you need. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make this change from a hip idle to an iron sight idle based on whether or not we're aiming or not. So I'm going to drag in idle rifle iron sights as well. And to blend between the two of them, we're going to do a blend by ball. Because you're either aiming or you're not. You can't do anything in between. And you can see blend poses by ball. This is just one of many different blends you have. And that's the wrong way round. Just realised. So iron sights will be in true. And false will go into hip. There are loads of different blend poses you can do. By all means, experiment. Have a look what you can do with it. So by boolean is just one thing you can do. I have seen your question. I will answer that when we get to it. We'll get to it soon. So I'm going to plug that into there. And the active value here, we're going to drag out and do promote to variable. I'm going to call this one is ADS. Aim down sights. And that's a variable that we have set up there. So at the moment it's set to false. It's not going to do anything apart from just do the hip one. But because it's a variable, it means we can actually change it. Now, there are many ways we can change it. We can either change it directly to the animation blueprint via the pawn, the controller, or we can have a setting on the character which the animation blueprint is looking at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up to have the value on the character. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because usually when you're doing aim down sights, you're changing something about the character's aiming ability as well and damage they can do. If you are doing a value which is going to change something about the character, put the value on the character. If it has no impact on the character whatsoever, it's just being used for animation purposes, by all means put it on the animation blueprint. So for example, when we get to it, speed and direction makes sense to go onto animation blueprint, but don't need to be on the character. Whereas aim down sights will affect the character's ability to shoot, therefore keep it on that one instead. So we're going to go to our third person character here. And we're going to go to the event graph and we're going to make a new input for this. We're going to go and do a right mouse button. And in here, we're going to have a boolean. So here, new variable is ADS, aim down sights. Drag this out and do set. For pressed, that's going to be pressed to true. And on false, that's going to be set to not true. Okay, now we're going to go to animation blueprint and take a look at it, and we'll make it so it can find its pawn that it is animating and read those values. So when you go into the event graph tab for your animation blueprint, you'll have these two nodes appear here by default, and that's the update animation and the try get pawn owner. The update animation, think of it like the tick. It is something that's happening all the time. The try get pawn owner is used here because sometimes the animation instance will spawn before the pawn does, and therefore will return null and crash. Try get pawn owner will basically check if it's valid or not. So it's quite useful to have. So what I'm going to do here, something that's quite useful, is to take the try get pawn owner, do is valid, choose the one with the question mark, the macro one, it goes in there. And if it's not, so if it is valid, we're going to take the try get pawn owner and we're going to cast to our third person character. We're then going to take the as third person character and promote that to a variable. Then, before we go in for between the is valid and the cast to third person character, we're going to drag as third person character out into get, right click on it, and convert to validated get. So, what is this doing? This is really useful to do. So, it's not valid. We'll go down to that. What this does is first time it goes around it, once it's got the pawn owner being successful, it will obviously see this is not valid and then do the cast. It will get the third person character and store it as a reference. Then on the next tick, it will go around, check if it's valid, and it will be valid, therefore it won't do the cast again. Because casting can be expensive, you want to avoid using it all the time if you can do. Update animation is a place where it could be used all the time. This cuts that out, only does it once, and that's it. So it's really, really useful. And if for any reason that reference is broken or destroyed at some point, this will just re-catch it and re-get it back for you. So it's really quite useful. So here we're going to take our is valid, and we're going to take the is as third person character, and to is ADS. And there is our is ADS from our third person character. We'll set that to this one. Plug that in. Hit compile, and there we go. So now, if I push play and hold down right click, my character will go aim down sights, and it will blend the animation between the two. Like that. Okay. So obviously we ain't done movement stuff. We'll get to that next. So a couple of questions. We got Ahmed with his question, what is a conduit? And Grease R have a question, why does tutorial channels don't make actual games and sell them? Is it not worth it? I make actual games when I can do. Most of the time it's because people doing the tutorial stuff already have a full-time job doing something. Or they're working for a studio where they can't talk about the game they're making because of NDAs. It depends on who you're asking. But yep, I make games. I've released a couple. And I've been teaching games at the moment for the past 10 years professionally, so it's quite difficult to fit it in around everything else. But yep, I do make them. So what is a conduit? So if you go back to the state machine, here, you have an option from here to add a state or conduit. A conduit is a way to pass through and do something else, I think it is. I'll double check that. I don't usually use them, but I think what it does, if we put another state in here, it will do this and then we'll do this. I believe that's what happens. I have to double check the thing. Conduit serves more advanced and shareable transition resource. Transition rule is going to be a simple one to many, many to one, many to many. For instance, you may have a situation where you have multiple animations that could play. Okay. Oh right, it's a way to randomize it basically. So you can have multiple outs here, and it will randomly choose one of the outs. There we go. Yep. See other questions. Okay, cool. You're just chatting about time-consuming stuff. Yep, getting to take time. Also, me personally, when you have family, like have kids and things like that, they take up a lot of time as well. Making tutorial stuff in and around, you can fit them in and around family commitments. It makes it a bit easier. But because also working in a college at the moment, it's a bit difficult. Okay, so let's go, but not for longer. This will be my last week, going into my last week now of teaching at a college. Yeah. Anyway, let's go into the movement stuff. So we can use blend spaces. So a blend space is a way to have animations blend together based on multiple or single values. So I'm going to do a blend space 2D, which is this one here, the normal one. And you choose a skeleton like normal, and make sure you choose the right one. It's this one. And this would be movement. Yes, for blend space. Wrong one. Here we are. Okay, so the blend space here is where you can drag in different animations that are on this sort of graph thing down here. And we use a 2D one for movement because you want to take into account speed and direction. So the first thing you do is set up your axes. So you've got a vertical and you've got horizontal. On the horizontal, we're going to have direction. And the values here are going to be minus 180 and 180. And I'll show you why in a moment. The vertical axis is going to be speed. And this is going to go between 0 and 600. In fact, actually, we'll go up to 1000. And we'll change the grid panel here to... no, we'll leave it like that. It'll be fine. Okay, so here we're going to drag in our various things. So we're going to have jogging, idle, and... Well, no, not idle, but jogging and sprinting. So we've got jog here. We've got walk here. So with walk, we're going to do walk backwards there. Walk backwards here. So backwards on either side. Then you want left on that side. Right on this side. And then forward on this side. So what you see here, if you drag around this green dot, you'll see the value change. And the animation change and blend between all of them. Now, if I put in another row here of the jogging ones and do jog forward there, jog left there, jog right there, and then jog backwards here and on the other side, it will now blend between all of them like that. Okay. Now, if I go down to here and do sprint, I'm going to put sprint in there too. I'm going to put it at the top here. And we've only got forward on this one, so I'm going to just drag it onto the other side as well. So I've got forward all over the place at the top there. Okay. I'm going to hit save and then close that. I'm going to go back to my animation blueprint and go into my state machine. I'm going to drag out another state here. And this state is going to be moving. I'm going to open it up and drag in my blend space. So just find it in here. There it is. And plug that in. Now you see direction and speed. We're going to make these variables. So right click on each one, promote to variable, speed there, promote to variable, direction there. So I can see chat going mad in my peripherals. Hello. Hey, well, hello, Aya. Hopefully, well, first of all, thanks for joining and thank you for the kind words. Hopefully, you'll get something out tonight as well. So we've got direction and speed coming out of here. These two values. And remember what I said. Because these values don't matter to the actual character, they already know what their speed and direction are. On here is where it does matter. So we can keep them on here. So on the event graph, we're going to go over here and we're going to just move this out of the way and drag out. There's the third person character. So to get speed of a character, you just get their velocity. Like so. Get the vector length. And that is your speed. Velocity is speed and a direction. So if you just get the length of it, you just get the length, you get the speed of the character. If you want to now get the direction, you can do pop in direction. You'll find the option to calculate direction, which is an animation based function, and if you hover over it, it will tell you that the range of return value between minus 180 and positive 180. So that's why we use the blend space to go between those two values. So we can use this directly with this. So as you see, you need velocity, which you get from there, and also you need the rotation of the character in the world. So I'm going to get the third person character, get actor rotation, and plug that into base rotation. And this is now your direction. So we'll just do set direction, plug that in there, and then plug that in there. So what I'm going to do now is go into my character and set up, oh, hang on, I almost forgot. So here I've got a warning message. That's because this idle to moving, this transition hasn't been set. So to go between one state and the other state, you need a rule to determine when that happens. So you go into here, and we use speed. So we go speed is greater than 0. Hit compile, then go back, and we'll do it the other way. So drag that back from moving to idle, and we're going to do speed is equal to 0. Like so. Can you separate movement from the upper chest animation? Yes, you can. We can go through that as well in a moment. But yes, you can totally do that. Okay, so now we've got that. We go into the character. I'm just going to change some settings on here to make it full use of that blend space. So I'm going to go into the character movement. I'm going to set their walking speed here, max walk speed here to 200. And then on the event graph, when we go right mouse button, i.e. aiming down sights, not 200, sorry, set that to 500. And on aim down sights here, I'm going to take that out and change that value to 200. Max walk speed. Or was it 250? We've done it in 4, so 250. And this one's going to set it back to 500. So at aim down sights, it should make me move slower and change animation. So that'll do that. And also we're going to do sprinting, which I'll do with left shift. And in here, we'll simply just take the character movement, set max walk speed. Oh. And we're going to set the true one to 1000. Might be too fast, but we'll see how that feels. And then otherwise set it back to 500. And that's it. So now, when I'm walking around, we've got this animation. When I go aim down sights, I'll go slower, and like so. And if I push left shift now, we've now got running animations. Go aim down sights. And so this is all happening mostly with animations. There's not actually any code really doing it. The only thing we're doing code-wise is changing the speed of the character. The rest of it is pretty much all animation based, which is pretty neat. Okay, so there's a really basic setup, and you've got pretty much the start of most third-person shooter games. Okay, so next we're going to worry about our shooting stuff in here and reloads. So they're going to use montages. Now the reason why you'd want to use a montage for, say, shooting or reloading is you typically want it to be sort of like an interrupt. It's like you're doing something, you hit a button, it's going to interrupt it with a montage. You can do other things with montages as well, like sounds, particle effects, you can chain them together, you can do sections, loops, all sorts of things. So really, really cool to use. So what we're going to do in here, I'm going to find my animation for reloading. So I want my reload rifle hip. I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to not retarget, go to create and then montage, and that'll do. And let's say my character now, I hit the R key, so R key. I want it to reload, so I'm just going to do the play animation. Play montage, sorry. You get two, by the way. This one is the common one that you want to use. That's the one it asks you which mesh to play into there. If you don't use this one and use the other one, play anime montage. This is a character specific function, so you only find this on characters, not pawns or anything else. And the reason why it's characters because it by default will basically do this, but you don't get any of these options at the end here. So it's kind of poo. I wouldn't use it. This is a better one to use. So on montage to play here, we're going to choose the reload and hit compile. Now by default, this won't work. This won't work at all. And it's quite a common problem I've seen online in comments, forums, Reddit, Facebook. I see this common problem everywhere. People putting that in montage and then wonder why it's not working. Especially if they've just used the default third person template, because it doesn't have it working in that either. So what you need to do is go to your animation blueprint. Go to anim graph here, this part. And you have to add a slot to it. And you choose slot, default slot. What this does is basically slot the montage into here. The montage is set to a different slot based on whatever you decide. So default slot is the default one. And when I push the button to play the montage, what's actually happening is it being inserted in here and it overrides whatever's going into it. So that's what you're missing. You need this. So now when I push play, hit R, and it reloads. Now one thing you'll notice here, if I hit R, I'll slide around on my feet. So there may be occasions where you want an animation to half play in one part of the body and half play in another part of the body. So how do you actually accomplish that? Well, that's accomplished by using two things. Using that slot manager to change which slot the animation goes in, and secondly, using a layered blend per bone. And that allows you to split animation into two. So what we're going to do is go into our animation blueprint. And we're going to make that layered blend per bone first. So the layered blend per bone is this node. Now you see you have two poses needed in here, at least. The base pose, which is the default animation that's going into it. So that makes sense. It would be the locomotion. That would go into there like that. The blend pose, though, is going to be the animation you want it to take over in a certain part. Well, that's this. However, you'll find that this doesn't work because you'll need an animation going into here. See, note, this will be a problem. You need an animation to go into here, the source. So what you need to do is plug in the locomotion to go into there. But there's a problem with that. You can't have two pins going into one thing, going from one thing. So what we do is cache it. So take your locomotion and cache the locomotion with CACH, new saved cache. In here you want to name it. So I'm going to name it locomotion cache. And that now stores basically a copy of the locomotion animation data. Now we can use that, if I can spell it right. I'll press the compile first, hold on. Locomotion, use cached pose locomotion cache. So that will now go into there. And I want to copy this and paste this into here. Hit compile, and there you go. Now the layer blend per bone, you click on this and you go up top to layer setup. And you can open up the extra bits here and go to branch filters, add new branch, expand open again. And you put in the bone name you want to cut it off at. Now, it is hierarchical base. So basically, if I told it to do the spine 1, it will take this and everything connected to it. So all this stuff that's inside there will be affected by this. If I chose, I wanted to do just the hand, I have to make sure I choose the hand bone and it'll affect all the fingers in there as well. So I want to use spine 01. That's a common place to cut it usually. Because normally you're doing upper body and lower body. And type it in exactly as it is there. Now, one good thing to do here is to also put your montage into its own slot. So at the moment we're using default slot. We're going to make a new one. So you want to go into your animation. So I'm going to find it down here. Reload hip montage. and go into the slot manager. If you don't see it here, just go to Window. You'll find the slot manager there. Go add slot and type in the name of your slot. I'm going to call my one upper body. So this is an upper body slot, and you can see that it's pretty much designed for that because you see the legs aren't really moving that much. So that's quite good for that. So to change it to use that slot, just go over to this section here on the timeline, click on the slot button, slot name, and choose upper body. Now you'll see it will go into A pose. Don't worry, it still works. You have to just close and open it to see the change, but this will work no matter what. So go back to your animation graph and change the slot here from default slot to your upper body. Hit compile and save. So now anything going into that slot will do that. Now why you'd want to do that is because sometimes you may have a montage that takes over the whole entire body, like a death or like a being hit or something. I can then put another slot here using the default slot on its own. So then I can use different types of montages and different things. Hit save and we're good to go. So now when I push play and reload, I should be able to reload and walk at the same time, like this. Okay. While I'm taking a sip of my drink, any questions? Let's have a look through chat and have a look. Why anyone is using Unreal Engine 5? I actually get this question actually. Why don't I make all the videos now on Unreal Engine 5? Unreal Engine 5 is just not ready yet. And I'll get people saying like to me as well, like, should I change over to Unreal Engine 5? What if all what I'm doing now doesn't work, etc, etc, etc. A couple of points. Unreal Engine 5 is not finished yet. So the problem with that is if something goes wrong with your game, be it performance or something wrong with the code, it's hard to know for certain if the thing that's going wrong is your fault or the engine faults. So it's not meant for that. Okay, so the only reason why you should be using Unreal Engine 5 now in a production sense is if you're planning to release a game, say next year, with the intent to use it. And it's mostly those in big studios using it because they have direct relations to Epic. So they are in contact all the time talking about and basically beta testing Unreal Engine 5 for them. So those working on Gears of War, for example, will be in regular contact with Epic to say, hey, add this, fix this, change this, make this better, so forth, performance-wise. They'll go through all that with them. As for little old me and you, it's not a big deal. It's more of a learning tool and beta testing it. The other question as well, what if what I'm doing now doesn't matter, etc. Or what if my tutorials that I'm making don't work in Unreal Engine 5? They will. All the stuff you do in Unreal Engine 4 can easily go up to Unreal Engine 5, no problem. So yeah, don't worry about it. You can make a game in Unreal Engine 4, and when Unreal Engine 5 is fully released, you just hit the button and it'll upgrade it to Unreal Engine 5. You just won't have any of the Unreal Engine 5 features, that's all. But yeah. So my recommendation is to, if you want to use Unreal Engine 5, use it as a learning tool and a testing tool, not for making a full game or anything like that. Just because you just don't know if what's going wrong is your fault or theirs. So yeah, bear with. But yeah, everything all my tutorials, all that stuff will work in Unreal Engine 5. Also, isn't Unreal Engine 5 unoptimized? I think currently, the blueprint system is slightly unoptimized compared to Unreal Engine 4. But obviously, that's going to change as they're developing it. Yep, that's right, gaming. Yep, that's right. Because you're not in close contact with Epic Games, they're not going to hear your problems. They're going to listen to those who are making millions for them and so forth. So yeah. So don't worry about it. Chill out. Just stick with Unreal Engine 4. There were people using Unreal Engine 3 when Unreal Engine 4 was out, so don't worry about it. Anyway, back to the task at hand. So we've covered pretty much the basics of animation blueprints. And I mean the very basics. There's obviously a ton more things you can do here. So we're going to go through and add a few more things in it and talk about a few extra things. But please leave questions and questions you want me to answer before the end of the show in chat about animation blueprints or animation in general for your game. If there's a particular type of animation you want to try and do or try and implement, you're not too sure how, just leave a comment in the chat and I'll try and answer them tonight. Okay, so we've got reloading here happening with this. Now at the moment we're only using reload with the hip reload. There's also a iron sights reload, and we've got an aim down sights thing here which is useful, and we've got the reload montage here, so why not use those together to create a solution. Unequipping, yeah, that'd be quite a good one. Yeah, I'll try and do that. So let's get it to reload in both ways. So when we do reload here, I'll open it up, I'm actually going to add two different animations to this same montage. So I'm going to go to the asset browser, go reload iron sights, drag that in, and there we go. I want to make a new section for this. So at the moment they're just two animations put together like this, and you see them both doing their thing. I'm going to go to the start of this one, right click on here, new montage section, and this would be aim down sight reload. You see a new little blue pin here. I'm then going to go to the montage sections thing here, and you'll see it automatically do default arrow ADS reload. You want to clear this. So now you've got basically two animations in together, which is what you want. So hit save, and we're then going to go back to our third person character. Now the starting section here, we're going to drag out and do select. And do this one. Now the select node, we're going to put in our is aim down sights into the index. So if it's true, it'll use this one. If it's false, it'll use this one. So in true here, I'm going to put in my name of my section here, ADS underscore reload. ADS underscore reload. And if it's false, I'll leave it set to none. And it'll just start at the beginning. So then I'll go to here and push play. And if I aim down sight and hit R, it will do the reload. If I go to hip, it will do the hip. And all the movement stuff still works the same. See? Works no problem. So you can use one montage to do multiple animations like that. And it makes do it where it makes sense. Don't overuse that feature, as it can be a bit fiddly. Okay, next, so unequipping. So we've got a gun in our hands. I think we have got an unequip option, an equip option. Let's just double check. So we've got equip, but we don't have unequip, which is weird. But nonetheless, unless it's called something else. How weird. Why would they give you equip but not unequip? Unless I'm going blind. Reload, stand upon. Yeah, no, unequip. Okay, we'll just do equip. And what we do is make it do it backwards, I guess. So here's the equip. I guess you could just play it backwards. So we're going to go and create a montage of our equip rifle. Okay. So do this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a montage of this. Okay. And we go to our character, because this is going to something affect the character. So that makes a lot of sense. And we go variables. Is equipped. Okay, and we'll do the Z key for this, and this is first of all just going to toggle this around. So is equipped, we'll get, and we'll do set. And if I drag that out again and do set, there we go. To toggle a boolean, by the way, you just get the boolean and do not. And then plug that into itself, and it'll just flip the boolean around. It's a really quick way of doing that. So I'll do that, and then we want it to play the montage. So play montage. Choose the mesh, which is this one. And I'm going to choose the equip, unequip. Now the play rate is 1, so it's going to go forwards, but we also want it to go backwards if we're unequipping. So we're going to drag the play rate out and do select. And do select float. And if we are equipping, we want it to go forwards. So A is going to be equal to 1, B is equal to -1, going backwards. So is equipped is just going to go into pick A. And we'll start it off as hit compile. Is equipped, we'll set that off as true. Okay, so that becomes false, and then it becomes false, and then plays it backwards. Okay. Okay. Next, we need to make the weapon detach itself as well, because at the moment it's attached to the parent socket. So on here as well, we're going to take the weapon here, and on the completed, I think it's completed. I think it'll be uncompleted. It might be a notify, but we'll do this anyway. Uncompleted. You do set parent. No. Detach. That's what we want. Detach from component. And we're going to take it to keep relative, and it should stay where we put it. Obviously this will only unequip it. Let's see if it works where we if it works for that. Okay, well, it detached it. Don't know where it went. Okay, let's go back to that. Oh, starting position will need to change as well. So do select there too. I think that's normalized. I could be wrong about that. Let's have a look. No, I don't like that. Okay, no problem. What we can do is, rather than do that, do this. Go into the montage. Equip. And we drag that asset out again. So equip rifle standing. But this one will make it go backwards. So play rate -1. Is that actually going backwards? I can't tell. I can't tell. I think the animation is the same backwards and forwards. Yeah, I think it's the same backwards and forwards. Okay. For this case, then we'll keep it just a 1, and then we'll just, this makes it a bit easier. Okay, do the play montage. Do that. Still want to keep this, so I'm gonna keep world then. Or actually, might be better is changing it to what it is attached to. Double check that. Oh, just not playing any animations now. Why is it not playing this? Default slot. Default slot. Yeah. Default slot. Let me detach the layered blend. Maybe that's breaking it up somehow. Plug that in there. No, it's just not playing it at all. What have I missed? Back to here. Why won't that play? Oh, I've done the wrong bloody animation. I didn't do my retargeted one. It's this one I want. That would be why. So, back on here now. Let's change that to use the other one. This one. Okay, and then on here, we just plug that back in. That was my fault. I used the wrong one. There we go. Okay, so we've got the detaching there, you can see working, but it's not obviously attaching it to the where we want it to go next. So we want to lock the weapon to something else instead. So at the moment it is the weapon here is set to its parent socket. Should be able to set that to something here. Parent socket. Is that it? Get parent bone. No, that's not right. What is that value set to then? Parent socket, parent socket. Get get socket bone name. Okay. I want to set socket. Oh, we can't. Okay. Okay, just to detach at the end. So if you do on blend out there, we'll detach at the back. Close. So we're going to go to the animation. Ooh. And on here, on the notifiers, I want to go to the point where it's going to stick to the player's back. Like there. Go to notifiers, right click, add notify, montage notify. Hit save. Go to my third person character and hook that up to the notify begin. So now it should come off and stay at the right place. Once it does that, I want to detach it, but then reattach it to the back. So I can just do attach to So I don't really want to detach it. I want to just change it. Maybe I can just tell it to attach to. Hang on. Attach to component. Notify begin. And we'll do keep world. Keep world. Keep world. I think. Socket name, we'll do a select here. And that socket name is being used for is equipped. We'll plug that in there. If it is equipped is true, we're going to use the one that previously are using here, so hand R socket. And otherwise it'd be set to attaching it to none, which is not true. I wanted to set to spine 01. Okay, Target is actor. Wait, no, that's wrong. That's the wrong node. Whoops, 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 whoops. Weapon. Attach to component to component. There we go. And the mesh is the parent. There we go. Keep wild. Keep wild. Keep wild. Okay. Hit play. Do that. And there you go. So obviously you need to change his animation, but do that. Now we get animations. Sweet. Okay, so let's get him to change his animation not to use this instead, because that doesn't make sense. So what we can do is go to our animation blueprint, because now we've got that boolean, we can use that boolean. We can use it up here, in fact. So I'm gonna make another state machine here. Again, you can do this in multiple ways. You can do it all in one state machine if you want to. And we'll call this one unequip. And this will be blend by ball. And that will go into there. The boolean here will be promoted to variable and is equipped. And on the event graph, we just go and grab our as third person character. Get is equipped. And then set that to match this equipped here. Play. So now if I push Z, I unequip, and I go into something that doesn't work. Oh yeah, because my state machine doesn't have anything in it. Whoops. You can tell it's quite late. Okay, in here we'll just do something simple. We can actually use the stuff that came with the third person template. Yeah, here. So we can do state idle, and we'll do third person idle. State awk. And I think comes with a blend space as well. I swear it did. I probably didn't retarget it. No, I shouldn't have to retarget it. It should be... Pretty certain it comes with one. Yeah. Third person idle one. Why can't I use it? It's using the same mannequin. Oh, there it is. This one. Plug that in there. And then plug speed in there. Okay, go back here. And do speed check. So exactly the same setup as we had earlier. And we go back. Is equal to yep. Okay, so there's our gun. Hit Z. Now in normal animation, hit Z again. There you go. Now we can just switch that over to use the other slot as well, to make it so we can do it whilst running. So go into here, change that slot here to upper body, save, push play, so Z, aim down sights, sprint, and there you go. Cool. So who asked for that? I can't remember who asked for that, but you're welcome. Any other questions? So let's have a look at what other questions we have before we wrap up tonight. Twitching Psycho. You just want someone to do a custom movement component where you can actually have a proper prone and crawl with proper root capsule collision rotations. Okay. The thing you can't do with that, you can't change the root components settings like its rotation. So if you went on prone, you can't rotate the capsule to be sideways. So what you do with that is you can either do my method, which was like line tracing, or even if you made a custom movement component, you still have this issue. The thing you can do else here is have on the viewport, have other capsule collisions here. And this is the prone capsule. And you rotate this around. Ooh. Forgot to have snap turned off there. And you make this the length of your prone. Like that. And you set this to block when you are in the prone. So you change this from overlap all to block, and you get the same essence of if you go into prone. So that's set to block now. Oh, hello. It should. Hang on. That should block. Hold on, why are you not blocking? Block, 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 block. You're enabled creating physics. You should do your job. What? That's it too. It's not attached to anything, is it? No. That should work. Hold up. Why would that block? Collision enabled query and physics, yeah. You probably have to enable physics on it, but you then have to lock because it will just fall away like this. Like that. I can't know if that locks world or locks local. Can't recall. I think it locks world, which is no good. Yeah, locks world. Well, that's no good. Unless what we do is we don't lock anything, and just attach it to the mesh. No, it won't work. Here we go. I swear I've done it before with this. I did it with an animal. What did I do with my animal? Did it with like a dragon with someone else. How would I do differently? What the hell did I might load it up quickly because I swear I did it before with something else. Actually, I won't load it up now because it'll take too long because it's someone else's project and I probably don't think they prefer it shown. I'll look into what I did differently and I'll put a video up on showing how to do it, because you could, I swear that's all I did last time was do this and set the block. Clearly not. Custom. Did I change that to? Did I change that to pawn? I think I did. No. I'll have to look it up what I did. But when I do, I'll make a video on it. Good afternoon. Can you please tell me you have lessons on Patreon with subtitles as on YouTube? It's just that I'm on English. So on Patreon, the videos are YouTube videos. They're just hidden from search and everything else. They're just links to on YouTube. Just find them on there. So they are YouTube videos with auto-generated captions. Yeah. Connor, how can we blend a walking animation with an idle gun animation? So we've an idle animation with a gun and a walking animation with a idle gun animation. Connor, what do you mean? Because you can't walk and be idle at the same time. Do you mean that you want half of the top half be idle, bottom half to be walking? Is that what you mean? Chris, can you please post this on your channel for later? It'll be on Patreon immediately, and it'll be available to everyone else 2 weeks later. And also, gold patrons will get these project files that you see right here. So you'll get all the mesh, all that already done for you, all retargeted, all ready for you to go. Yeah, half and half. So yeah, that'll be the layered blend per bone. So for example, if I go into my guns code here for idle, so let's say I've got here one idle I want to use. So let's think. I want to use what can I use? So what was the example you gave? Walking animation with an idle gun animation. Okay, so an idle pistol and a walk. So walk. I don't have one with rifle, but I guess you just want walk normal, don't you? Yeah, walking animation. Okay, just walk. So third person walk, for example. Okay, so we've got third person walk, which is the one that comes with the third person template, and idle pistol. You do layered blend per bone. And blend that with that. And we'll blend, so we want to blend the top half of the idle, so the other way around. So walk is the base pose, and that one is that pose. Oh, back here. Then on layered blend per bone, you just set which bone you want it to blend by, which is going to probably be the spine 01. It's the most common one that you're using. And then you can drag that into here. So I haven't got this set to movement. This is just going to be idle stuff. You see him walking on a spot like this, but you can see where it's got the idle for the gun in the top half and the walking in the bottom half. Okay, so that's you blending two together. Layered blend per bone. Whoop. Plug that in. Hopefully that helps you out, Connor. Were there any other animation based things here? Rapid Adam, if you want to get into game development, is it best to specialize in one area, or do I become okay at everything? If you want to get a job, be specialist ideally, but be aware of how to do other things. You're more hireable if you know how the other roles work and how they interact with each other. So what work you're doing will affect what other people are doing. So you need to be able to understand what they need from you and what you need from them. So yes, specialize, but do keep aware of other things. Like for example, I would always say for modelers and texture artists to know how Unreal Engine 4's material system works, because later on you'll be using it quite a lot. Someone else will be using it quite a lot, and your modeling will directly impact that. Same with Niagara system as well. Understand how that works. If you're a modeler, so if you get asked to make visual effects for models and things like that, you know how to do it. Or you know what to ask for as well, what questions to ask. Okay, I think. Oh yeah, sorry. Mertcaln, how to modify existing animations by adding bone IK maybe. We do not have time to do IK stuff now, but I have got IK animation videos on my channel, so please check out the IK stuff I have got. I do want to do more IK stuff in the future, but we don't have time to do it right now as it is 20 past midnight and I should be going to bed. So thank you very much everyone for joining me tonight. As a reminder, this will be available in archive form for Patreon members immediately after the show, as well as gold patrons will get access to project files in due time. Everyone else will have the archive in 2 weeks time. And if you want a one-to-one session, a 90-minute session with me, head over to ryanlady.com/sessions. You'll find my availability there, plus how to get sessions with me booked and so forth. August is the only time I have left. July is fully booked, so if you want to get into August, there are some slots still available for August. Thanks again for watching me, everyone. This was an intro to the animation blueprint. Maybe in the future we'll come back to some of these and do more advanced ones. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone, and have a good evening. Bye.